Well, good evening, everybody. Um, Tonight's is going to be a quick shout out to some friends who sent me some stuff, and then I'd like to get into a short talk about rare earths, because almost everybody that I that I chat back and forth with, I mention a few things about them, and I figured, well, um, I can reference them to this. It's easier than retyping the same thing all the time. But first, I want to show you a few things. Chris, you know him as J6I6Z6Z. Sent me some nice, some beautiful shells and a terrific piece of petrified wood. Uh, Amazing piece. Look at these quartz quartz veins in it, and it has beautiful cell structure. I put this under a 30 power magnifier, and really nice, along with a beautiful crystal and some great calorie shells. I don't know where he got these. I didn't know if these were native to Texas or not. And then uh, um, he's called Finding a Coin or Two, and his name is Mason, and he's a reptile guy, and he sent me some terrific petrified wood. This piece is just amazing. Maybe I can scope it. It's real small, but it has such beautifully defined growth rings in it. One of these days I'm going to learn how to do this. But it's just a beautiful piece. And then all of the pieces of driftwood that both these people sent me are just petrified wood are just excellent. And then Mason also sent me this really beautiful little geode. It's like you're walking into a cave of giant crystals when you magnify that. Just a gorgeous piece. And also here's here's now there's Jerry here. Uh, Whole Coin 99 sent me this wolf from he drew from his. He has a couple of Canadian wolves which are hard to get. Um, Jan, you know her as a melon smasher, sent me these beautiful drawings uh, of these one panda and one koala, and then Joe Doss sent me this, and this isn't the best thing I ever saw. He drew a picture of me, and to me, it just caught my essence. You know, an old grizzly fella, but I meant it was splendid of these people to do this, and many thanks, and I appreciate it greatly. And you surely didn't have to do it, but it was. I want to thank you so much for doing it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about rares. Mason, I got your box ready. It'll be out in the morning's post. Uh, in November of 2009, I read an article in one of my science magazines. I think it was um, one of the science news magazines about rare earths and how the Chinese had managed to to control 95% of them. This was in 2009, and I thought, boy, how crazy is that? Because almost every bit of technology we use today uses these rare earths, and they're called rare earths, not particularly because they are rare, although many of them are, but it's because of where they appear on the periodic table. Now, all the ones that are in purple are rare earths, and it has to do with their outer electron ring and their ability to pick up and leave off electrons. So, uh, I started paying attention to this because literally everything we use technological wise, uses rare earths, and if you want to make solar cells, no matter what it is, you're going to need these things. And the Chinese have managed to to control. Well, now it's up to 97% of them, and they've also managed to curtail their exports of them. Some of these are only found in China, some only in Mongolia, but the vast majority of them, the Chinese own the mining rights to, or they own the stuff outright in their own country. So that if you want to make chips, you're going to have to go to China to make them, because last year they cut back 40% on their exports, and this year another 20%, and they're going to keep cutting back until there's no place to get these, and you're going to have to go to China to get them, and you're going to have to go to China to manufacture them. Solar cells, chips, even the gears in the wind wind turbines are require these, and we have no strategic reserves of rare earths. Now, how in the hell did that happen? I mean, what these things are as important as oil, and we've managed not to have any control of these at all. Presently, there's a company called Molycorp, uh, and they used to have the largest rare earth mine in the world at a place called Mountain Pass in California, and uh, they are re-gearing up. What happened to them was back in 2001 and 2002, the Chinese sold rare earths cheaper than they mined them, so that they put these other people, forced these other people out of business, and these other people closed down, and then the Chinese went on a buying spree and bought up most of the mineral rights, and they one of the places that they didn't was this Molycorp, which is in Mountain Pass, California, and they're re-gearing up. So it's going to be very interesting, because now you're starting to read article after article on rare earths. People are finally waking up. I read an article a couple of months ago in The Economist, and they were saying what a problem it is. And here's the latest issue from Science News, and it features rare earths. So if you want a lot of information on it, if you want to, to get the details of what everything is, go to the latest issue of Science News. But the Chinese by having 5-year plans and 10-year plans and 25-year plans, instead of having to be responsible every quarter like American corporations are able to do things like this, and they're doing it with our money. We're buying every bit of crap we can from China, and China's going out and buying stuff that isn't crap all over the world. And this is going to present a grave danger to us, because eventually all the chips are going to have to be made in China unless we find a source, and we do not presently have this source. Now, the Japanese have recently discovered that in these deep water vents, which are the part of when we have tectonic plates that come together, like creating the Himalayas, where they push everything up. Well, in the center of the oceans, often the tectonic plates are pulling apart. Well, as they pull apart, these vents exist, where they found all these new creatures that don't need oxygen for life, and function off of the sulfur and stuff in the water, and can stand extreme heat. Well, anyway, they found that these exhaust vents that are there are spewing out almost pure rare earths, and the Japanese are 100% dependent on China for their rare earths. They have none of their own, and you know how much of their livelihood for the whole country is dependent on modern technology. So the Chinese could literally shut Japan down in a matter of days if they so chose to. But Japan, but it's a big marketplace, and the Chinese don't want to shut everybody down, but they sure want a bigger piece of the pie, and they're going to get it. So the Japanese discovered these vents that are 90% rare earths, and often where you find one rare earth, you'll find 4, 5, 6, maybe in the same scoopful of ore that you mine, you might find that many. But the problem is the closest ones they found to the surface are still 11,000 feet down the ocean, and apparently it'll be at least into the 2020s, maybe even 30s, before any of this ever mined. You remember the magnesium modules that were found in the 50s, big modules, giant stones laying all over the floor of the ocean, and the idea was we're just going to go down and rake them up. Well, it hasn't happened. But I think, if you pay attention to rare earths, you'll find that it's very interesting, and you're going to find that we're in really big trouble when it comes to this. Again, thanks to the Chinese. So I want to thank you for your time, and I'll tell you why I did it tonight. I'm waiting for the women to get off on the U.S. Open, so I can watch some of the men's action, and I think Roddick is the next one up to play. So thanks again, and a special thanks to the people that sent me the beautiful petrified wood, and to the Dosses for I mean, very amusing and I think very, very good drawings.